Now, we've been looking at adding more rich content to your course. One really cool way of doing this is to add iframes or inline frames. Inline frames will allow you to pull content from almost any other website and embed it into your course so that it can be a really powerful tool to draw web resources into your course. So let's see how you do it. Let's go back to the book we created and let's go to page 3 because I've already added one in there. And this is how an iframe looks. You see that that web page is totally embedded in the course, so you can pull, as I said, pull content from anywhere, just drop it right into the website. So the question is, how do you do it? Well, beware. If you're afraid of the command line or coding or programming, this is not for you. We're going to be doing a very, very, very tiny little bit of that. So let's see what we do. So go to the editing page as normal. And instead of using the regular HTML block window, first of all, you expand it and we're going to click on this tool. Now this tool allows us to see the actual HTML code that's behind what you see in the HTML block and eventually what you see in the course itself. So if I click on this, we'll see the actual code. And as you can see, it's really simple. There are just a very few parts to it. Iframe height, width, and then the actual URL of your site, and then you put this close iframe over here. Now, one thing that I normally do, and I'm going to split this up so you can see what it is. For any HTML code, for any HTML element, you always have one statement that opens that element, and that's this one here that starts with the lesson bracket and says iframe. And then you have another statement that closes the element. And so when we close things, we always use this forward slanting slash. And then whatever the element is, we just use that word again. And that's really all there is to an iframe. Let's just create one from scratch. And I'm not going to put this time, there are a couple of other extra things that we had put in there. So I'm just going to say iframe space source equals, and you always have to put quotation marks for your website. And let's pull a website in from Wikipedia. Let's get a Wikipedia website. Wikipedia. And sure, main page, why not? So I'm going to copy that and just drop it in here. Close off quotation marks, close off these brackets, and then I'm leaving some space. You know what, I'm not going to leave space. I'm just going to close the iframe element there. So I put the forward slash in iframe. And don't worry about getting this code exactly right. I'm going to actually type it out into the next page in this book so you'll be able to see where it is, what it is. So I'm going to click here to return me to the regular HTML editor, and you should see the iframe appearing. Now, there's the iframe, but the big problem is it's by default this tiny little iframe on the side of the page. So we want to change that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the width. So right after the iframe, we leave a space, width equals, and I'm going to let it be 700. That's usually a pretty good width. Colon, and change the height also. And 3 or 400 is usually pretty good. Now I'll put it to 400 and source equals, and that's fine. Let's see how it looks now. Fills the page much better, and you'll be able to see everything that you need to. One last thing I'm going to put in though is not all browsers support iframes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some text in between the opening and closing that will appear if the browser doesn't support iframes. So I'm going to put if your browser doesn't support iframes, copy and paste the following link into your address. Okay, and we won't see it because our browser supports iframes, but if someone has a browser that doesn't support iframes, they will. And there it is. So you have it right there in your page. Okay. Now this can be particularly useful for linking PDFs. Oftentimes people want to embed PDFs in their course and they don't want people to have to go and click on the link. So let's see what that's going to look like. Again, I go to my HTML editor and I have a PDF open already. It's a fairly long one, but no big deal. I just copy the link for that. I'm going to replace the link here. Really long link. I'm just going to put the text of it. Promise of multimedia learning. Okay. Promise of Okay. And click on this one again, and there it is. When I save the changes, you should see the PDF actually scrolling in your window. And you can use these controls down here to change the size of it as well. Download it, print it, etc. So that's one really cool way of using iframes. As I said, I'm going to actually include the code for it in page in Moodle so that you can just copy paste it rather than having to remember exactly where to put everything. Hope this helps.